والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذ ابتلى إبراهيم ربه بكلمات فأتمهن قال إني جاعلك للناس إماما قال ومن ذريتي قال لا ينال عهد الظالمين. وإذ جعلنا البيت مثابة للناس وأمنا واتخذوا من مقام إبراهيم مصلى وأعهدنا إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل أن طهر بيتي للطائفين والعاكفين والركع السجود. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين. أما بعد. So today, brothers and sisters in Islam, we're into our second week of the topic of Hajj. Last week we covered the introduction to the series of why Hajj is farad and what are the consequences of not fulfilling this obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today we will move on to the mawaqit of Hajj, and also we'll have a small demonstration of how to put the ihram on, and what are the sunnahs after you put the ihram on, etc. But before I go on to that, inshallah, just a quick refreshing from yesterday. Aisha radiallahu anha, she says, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam would be in the house as normal, and he would hear the gust of wind from outside the house, or he'd hear the rain increase and become stronger, or he'd hear the thunder, and his face used to change. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. His face used to change in such a way that he used to become worried. So Aisha radiallahu anha asked him, "O Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we see your face has become yellowish, become worried. What's the reason?" And he replied to her, Aisha radiallahu anha, that, "O Aisha, you know, this wind, this strong rain, this thunder, this was one of the ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished the previous nations before us. So I'm worried that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might punish us the same way." So what he used to do, he used to rush to the masjid and he used to pray 2 rakahs of sunnah in order to seek forgiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to seek repentance. And this was the same procedure he used to do in the time of anything unusual, i.e. the eclipse, solar eclipse, which happened in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He'd rush to the masjid, and as long as the solar eclipse was on, he would be in the masjid. As soon as the solar eclipse finished, he'd come out and he'd give some charity to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he has saved us from a major punishment. And this is one of the ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he brings fear into our hearts through the strong rain. And we were sitting here after Dhuhr, strong rain started pouring down, and you hear thunderstorms around all over the UK. And this is one of the ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wants to bring us back to him in some way, because insan, we forget who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and this is one of the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yukhawifuhu Allahu ibadahu, he brings that fear, that khawf into the hearts of his servant. So just a reminder that really we should be always aware of when something like this happens, something extraordinary, unusual, we should straight away rush to the masjid or wherever we are. If we're at home, we should get up and read 2 rakah sunnah in order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep any trouble or any problem away from us. So that was yesterday. Today our topic is the Hajj, and what came to my mind was the first thing we need to be clear about is Ibrahim alayhi salam, his importance in all religion, especially the religion of Islam. He is really the forefather, he is the father of all religions, and Hajj makes it clear that Ibrahim alayhi salam is the center point in Hajj, because Ibrahim alayhi salam is mentioned in the Holy Quran more than the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam himself. We know the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he is the leader of the prophets, but when it comes to the importance in Hajj, there is no one greater than Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail alayhi salam. And Ibrahim alayhi salam, he is the father of Tawheed, of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he walked away from his nations and he proclaimed the Labbaik la sharika la labbaik inna alhamdulillah. So all these talbiyahs, these disassociation from shirk, comes from none but Ibrahim alayhi salam. So most of the manasik of a Hajj, if not all, they revolve around Ibrahim alayhi salam. Similarly, when we come to trying on the ihram, putting on the ihram, the talbiyah is actually from the talbiyah of Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is what Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he later on carried on with this sunnah. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, we will be talking about him inshallah in the next few weeks quite a lot. So you will hear a lot of the greatness of Ibrahim alayhi salam and how he was the main founder of not just Islam, of all religions that proclaim the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he is the forefather of Tawheed and the monotheism. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent all the prophets as imams, as leaders for their people. But he sent Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam as an imam for the whole of humankind. This was in the dua. Sometimes we misquote it. But Ibrahim alayhi salam said, Oh Allah, make from my progeny and imams, i.e. prophets. So imams in this context means prophets. And we know a lot of the prophets were from the progeny of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail and his grandson, etc. And we know Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam came from the progeny of Ismail alayhi salam. So this was just a brief introduction to Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he's really, you will hear his name a lot when we describe the manasik of Hajj, of certain actions that he did when he left his wife and his son in the middle of the desert, and what happened later on with the well of Zamzam. So you will hear the whole narration from time to time, which I don't want to go into at this moment. But today, inshallah, we'll focus on the mawaqit of Hajj. What are once when you make intention for Hajj, where you should put your ihram on from. And this is very important for us living in the UK, that we have a dilemma, because we're not going to Hajj by car or by camel or by foot. We are actually going by aeroplane. So very, very briefly, I will describe the three ways or the three options which we have as Hujjaj going from the UK. And the first option is to put your ihram on from the house, but not proclaim the talbiyah, because the talbiyah should be proclaimed from the miqat. And there are 4 miqats. I will just quickly, briefly mention them to you. The first miqat is for the people of Medina, Dhul Hulayfa. For the people of Sham, which also we come under the people of Sham because we are traveling from the north, it's in Juhfa. And the people of Iraq, it is Qarn al-Manazil. And for the people of Yemen, is Yalmala. So Prophet ﷺ described these 4 mawaqit from the north, from the south, from the east, and from the west. So we usually come from the north, so we'll be included in the miqat for Sham, which is Juhfa. And also there are many other riwayas from Muslim, from Aisha, but Aisha, she's the one that narrates these miqats, and it is a sahih hadith which all the ulama agree upon. So when we are traveling by aeroplane, the scholars, they mention there's 3 options which we can do. I mentioned the first one, which is to wear your ihram from the house with something on top of your lower garment, because you cannot actually leave your house in this country with just the top garment. So it's best to put something on the top, i.e. a long jubba or a long shalwar, or even just a shirt is fine, as long as you cover your body appropriately. The second option is to put it on in the airport, either in Manchester Airport, London Airport, Heathrow, whichever airport you're traveling from. If there's a connecting flight, you can put it on in your connecting stop. That's the second option. Or the third one, which I find is the most difficult one, especially if it's a chartered plane, there usually isn't much room. Because when I went in 2012, we went in a chartered plane, there was hardly any room in the toilets, etc. And it was really, really rushed. So alhamdulillah, we were glad that we had put the ihram on from the airport, because we had about 3 hours before the flight to Jeddah. And the reason you put the ihram on is because you need to go and do Umrah. Because the type of Hajj which we'll be doing, we will describe the 3 types of Hajj. But usually when you go from the UK, you do Hajj Tamattu, which is a Hajj which includes Umrah and Hajj together. So first you do Umrah in the days of Hajj, and then you take off your ihram, and then you read on your ihram at the time of Hajj, in the days of Hajj. So Hajj Tamattu, you're going there first, you're going to do the Umrah, and after the Umrah you will take off your ihram, and then you're able to wear your normal clothes, and you're able to do certain actions. So out of the three options, I mean, the first two are probably the easiest and the most blessed, because you are in a clean place. In the airplane, you don't know how the toilets are going to be, how busy it's going to be, because everybody's going to be rushing towards to get the ihram on when they approach the hudud of the miqat. So the pilot will actually announce that we are entering the hudud, the miqat, those hujjaj who are doing Hajj tamattu, put on your ihram. So it will be a big rush. So really it's best to be prepared beforehand, either from your house or from the airport.
Imam, you can mention some flights don't go direct. They go to the neighbouring countries and then you can put your ihram on.
Yeah, true, yeah. So those who have a stop, like a connecting flight, then you can always put your ihram. If you've got enough time to get changed in the airport. So if you've only got half an hour, 45 minutes in the connecting flight, then don't risk it. But if you have enough time to get your ihram on straight away, then alhamdulillah you can. So say if you're going from here to Turkey, you have a stop in Turkey, you can actually put your ihram on in Turkey. Or if you're going through Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or any other country, neighbouring country, then you could do the same there, as long as you've got enough time on your hands to do so. So these are the four miqats, very, very basic. I mean, when you put your ihram on, there are certain things which we must do, certain actions which we must do after putting on the ihram. One of them is to have a ghusl before you put your ihram. Very, very important. Yeah, before you put your ihram, have ghusl, even if the woman, she is menstruating and she is in a postnatal bleeding. She still must put on, when she's putting on the ihram, there are certain conditions for her. She also has to have a ghusl as well. Also, when you put your ihram on, we will have a quick demonstration. One of our brothers, he is going to Hajj, so we will ask him, inshallah, to have the honors to try the ihram. Is it the first time you're putting the ihram on?
No, I've tried it before.
I tried it, that's good, alhamdulillah, that's good. So we'll do a demonstration of the ihram. So once you put the ihram on, before you put the ihram, it is actually a sunnah to have a bath, a ghusl, a full bath, even for the women folk, for our sisters as well. Once you put the ihram on, you put some itar on, some nice smell. Because don't forget, you are still outside the miqat. You haven't reached the miqat as yet. So put on some itar, because these things are not allowed once you're in the ihram. So that's why it's good to do them before you reach the miqat. The Prophet ﷺ, it is known that once he put on the ihram and he put on some smell, some itar, as he was putting his ihram on. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's all the ulama, they agree upon this. And also, when you put your ihram on, pray 2 rak'ah sunnah. Yes, pray 2 rak'ah sunnah. And also there is a sunnah before and a sunnah after, but most scholars, they agree the sunnah should be done after and the putting on the ihram, even though there is 2 rak'ah before the ihram as well, according to the Hanafi as well. So when you put your ihram on, 3 things. So you do the itar, ghusl beforehand, and also the 2 rak'ah of sunnah. And once you've done these 3 things, then you are now ready to do the niyyah of with the talbiyah. So when you do the niyyah, it should be when you're actually approaching the miqat, the stations where you should be doing the niyyah from. Because the Prophet ﷺ did so from Dhul Hulayfa, which is the miqat for Medina. When he came to Dhul Hulayfa, he made his niyyah, his intention, and he also started proclaiming the talbiyah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, inna alhamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. So this is the talbiyah which you should be proclaimed. And also the niyyah is that you make niyyah for Hajj tamattu in the days of Hajj for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Very, very simple. It could be done in any language. It doesn't have to be recited in the Arabic language. Once these 2 things are done, the Prophet ﷺ then would carry on his journey towards Makkah al-Mukarramah, and once he would arrive at the Haram, he would do his Umrah, and then he would stay there for his Hajj. But there are different types of Hajj, the 3 different types of Hajj. We will cover that inshallah next week, but we'll try to do most of it today. But you should try to get to do your Umrah in the days of Hajj, i.e. in the months of Hajj. The months of Hajj are Dhul Qa'dah and Dhul Hijjah. So once you have entered into your ihram, I will just pause here for 2 minutes while you do the demonstration, and then I will carry on to describe what actions are not allowed during while you're in the state of ihram. So ihram is from the word haram, which means prohibition. So you're not allowed to do certain actions while you're in the ihram, because your focus is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to worship and to fulfill the 5th pillar of Islam. I will mention what are forbidden for the muhrim later on, but inshallah we'll have a quick demonstration if the brother can step forward, inshallah, and we'll have a quick demonstration, inshallah, of how the ihram is put on. So there's 2 pieces of cloth, white cloth. It could be made out of cotton, it could be the other material, the towelish material, both are okay. But the Prophet ﷺ, he stressed that it should be plain cloth, plain white, with no pictures on it, with nothing being sewn on it, so that you can't see one thing onto it, and they're just plain sheets of cloth, long enough to go around you, both from the lower garment and also from the top garment. So what we're going to do first, we'll do the lower garment first, inshallah. Okay, so if you hold from one side, okay. So what we need the right side to go over the left side. So that is the sunnah, for the right side to go over. So have more cloth on the right side, on this side, sorry, on this side. Yeah. So if you just lessen that, okay. I'm just going to go around. Can you just come a bit? Just turn this way towards it. So that's fine. So that's fine. So you can just lessen that a little bit more. Okay. Hold this one. Okay. You need to open the leg. Okay. So that's very, very important. And lift it up a little bit. If it's too big, well, you turn it off a little bit. That's it. There you go. Okay. So you're in full stretch. So bring the first one round. And hold it there. So you want the right hand side is sunnah to go over the left hand side. So that will go around and then stop there, and you can bring it back like that. So you make something like that. So hold it there. Okay. Now he's comfortable. We need to bring the waist down so that it tightens up. So bring all of it round from each side. And it needs to be tight. Okay, all the way down. Yeah, carry it. Okay, that's it. Important bit here for the man is that his belly button needs to be covered, because that is his sutra. So his belly button is covered, alhamdulillah, so that's fine there. Okay, how does that feel?
Yeah.
It's okay? No, it's not tight, it's not loose?
No.
Okay, so that's the lower garment. So the lower garment, it should be higher than the ankles for sure. You shouldn't be dragging on the floor. Also this bit here, we can tuck it up a little bit to make it equal with the rest. Okay, so why I brought this down again is that it's not too tight. Otherwise, if it gets too tight on the waist, you won't be comfortable. So make sure when you put in the ihram on, that you are relaxed. You are breathing out rather than breathing in. Otherwise, that will give you more noise. Okay, that's fine. So that's the lower garment. The top garment is made of the same piece of cloth. This is to cover the top. And also there is a hikmah why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the 2 pieces of cloth, which I will mention later on, inshallah. So again, with this, it just needs to go over your shoulder equally. Yeah, so that's the normal procedure. If you want to tuck it over either side, then make sure one side is lower than the other, in order that there's enough. So lower it a little bit. That's it. Yeah, that's fine. Very, very simple, and that's how he would be. The man would be in a normal circumstance. Now, for the sisters, they can wear anything which is plain, which has nothing, no pictures on it. Any color is fine, and obviously they must not cover their face and the hands and the feet. For the man, all he's allowed to wear is the 2 pieces of cloth and some sandals if he needs to. Now, if the male, if he becomes
sandals,
yeah, sandals is fine. Yeah, sandals okay. Yeah, sandals or flip flops. Yeah.
Does the sandals not cover your?
Yeah, as long as they don't cover your ankle. Yeah. That's the main thing. Yeah. If the sandals,
most sandals cover the top of the foot as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's best just to have what we call the
flip-flops.
Flip-flops. They're the best because you're going to be carrying them around with you as well. So flip-flops are the best option, and the cheaper they are, the better, because they're probably going to get lost or they're going to be. So best have them with you in your bag. And I would recommend that, when the time for tawaf comes, you know that you need to uncover. So just do a quick demonstration of that before we. The right hand. This. Yes, okay, it's the right hand. So you bring it down, and you bring the on top here. Yeah. So make sure that obviously the right one is a bit longer so that it has enough room to go around. So that is the basic ihram, but obviously the cloth differs there's a different type of cloth, but this is probably the most comfortable for the hot country because it's very, very simple, it's thin and it's light as well, inshallah. Okay, so some people, they wear a belt underneath it, which is also fine. There's nothing wrong with wearing a belt to keep your valuables inside it. The ulama have allowed it, and even having, you know, like a small money belt for your keys, for your possession, it's fine. But this is the basic ihram for the men, and for the women, it's anything which they can wear as long as they have the. And again, while you're in the ihram, there's no topi, there's no imama. You know, these are things which you're not allowed, which we will cover in the next one. Jazakallah. You can take it off slowly. You know. So as long as it's not searing, there's nothing being seared, it's fine, inshallah. It's a plain piece of cloth. Let's put it back. Have you bought your ihram?
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Right, so that is the ihram, a basic illustration of how to wear the ihram. And for the women, as I mentioned, they don't have a particular type of cloth. They can wear anything which is plain and simple, and it's not searing again. And they must cover the face and the hands and the feet. So there are certain things while you're in the ihram, you're not allowed to do. Because of certain restrictions, because you are really in a pure state, you are ready to, you know, to do the faraid of Hajj. And first thing you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to have any sexual relations with your husband or your wife. So this is the first thing, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. The second thing, while you're in the ihram, you must always be in the constant worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the ta'a of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, you're not allowed to do any, you're not allowed to go hunting, sayd, anything which is on the land or in the sea. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, even if it's for your food, you mustn't do any hunting while you're in the state of ihram. Also, you're not allowed to wear anything which is sewn, which is very, very, very important. Anything which is has any, because the Ahnaf and the Malikis, they say, the Prophet ﷺ was asked, what should we wear in the ihram? And he mentioned, do not wear a shirt, because the shirt are sewn. Or anything, or do not wear a trouser. Trousers are also the same thing. And also he told us not to wear any socks, etc. And he told us not to wear our leather socks. And also not to wear anything above the ankles. This is where the issue of sandals come in. And obviously shoes is a problem. And also not to wear anything, any cloth made from, anything apart from plain white colored cloth. And also we are told that for the woman, she's allowed to wear anything as long as it doesn't cover her face and her feet and her hands. Also, some of the other things which you're not allowed while you are in the state of ihram is to put any atar, anything which has a smell to it on your own body or on your clothes for the duration of the ihram. But you're allowed to, once you're out of the ihram, in between the Umrah and Hajj, you're allowed to redo these actions. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to brush your teeth while you're in the ihram as normal. There's no restriction with using a miswak, etc., or even using a toothbrush. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to, when it comes to drink and eat, there is no restriction in the drink or eat. Anything which is halal, you're allowed to eat it, even if it has a smell to it or a taste, a strong taste to it. There's nothing wrong with that. So there are the many few things which you're not allowed to do while in the state of ihram. The Prophet ﷺ also told us that these are some of the things which are makruh, which are not haram, but they come under the types of makruhat. And that is to take something from your hair without any reason. So any bodily hair, you're not allowed to pluck it out. It doesn't come under the status of haram, but it comes into the status of makruh, and makruh in a higher state as well. Also, you're not allowed to cut your nails either for your feet or for your hands, again, except if there's a reason for it. Also, you're not allowed to these are some of the things which you might find a bit strange, but you're not allowed to do nikah while you're in ihram. Definitely not allowed to have any relationship with your wife, but this is talking about nikah. If you propose to someone in the time of ihram, it's also makruh. Even though the Prophet ﷺ did do one of his nikah while he was in the days of Hajj, just a nikah, so he proposed to one of his wives, and the nikah was done at that time. But the Ahnaf, they are very keen, and they say that you shouldn't even do the aqd at that time, aqd al-nikah. Also, kissing your wife or your husband is also makruh in the time of ihram. Yeah? This is without any contact, any sort of marital connection with your wife. So a few things which we mentioned which are makruh, but really we should be very, very, very careful when you're in the state of ihram. Nothing should be on your mind apart from the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that should be your focus. And the umrah takes maybe a day, 2 days, and then by the end you are really done and you're ready to take off your ihram. If you are doing Hajj tamattu. Now the other types of Hajj is Hajj qiran wal ifrad. There are three types of Hajj, but the most common Hajj, which the Prophet ﷺ himself did, is the Hajj tamattu. And Hajj qiran is when you make intention for Hajj on itself. So when you actually proceed to Makkah, when you go to the Holy Land, you do not take off your ihram until the Hajj days are over. So that's something which you do, but you also make intention to do Umrah later on. And Hajj Ifrad is when you do Hajj on its own, with no Umrah. But the best type of Hajj is very the first type, and it's one of the most easiest as well. So that's why a lot of brothers and sisters, they prefer this one, and it is really the Sunnah to go for the most convenient type of Hajj, rather than putting, because I remember I met one Mufti, he was doing Hajj Qiran, he was an oldish guy in his 80s, and mashallah, he wasn't talking to anyone, he was just doing his durus in the Masjid Nabi, and he said he's going to head off towards Makkah al-Mukarramah in the days of Hajj, and he'd be there till obviously the Ayam al-Tashriq, and then he would come back and he would do his Umrah again from Medina. So after he'd take off his, because he was still in the state of Ihram, even though it wasn't the days of Hajj as yet. So these are some of the types of Hajj which we will cover. But when we start next week, the actual, the Manasik of a Hajj, what are the actions of Hajj, we will start with when you enter into the Haram, what you should do, what should you start with, what are the actions, the main actions of the Hajj, what are the fara'id, what are the sunnahs, what are the nawafil, and in which order should it be done. But when you are in a group, of Hajjis, mostly the group leader will have someone like a guide. So at each point he will guide you that this is what you should do. And the du'as, really, you could pick up some books with du'as in them, or the easiest thing is to make a list of du'as which you know, and just to rememorize them yourself, make sure they are in your heart properly. And obviously any du'a which comes to your mind at that time, it should be recited as well. It doesn't have to be a specific du'a, because I see people going around the Kaaba and they have a book in their hand and they're reciting loudly, and you don't know if they know what they're doing, because they're in such a state, they're following the leader with a book, and they're just looking up or looking down without anything else. So really, it's something you need to be concentrating yourself very on the situation where you are, and to have that khushu at all times, because sometimes it can distract you having a book. That's why the Ahnaf, they say you shouldn't read from the Quran when you are doing any farad or sunnah or wajib. Even Salat al-Tarawih, they dislike it to read it from the Mus'haf, because it's a distraction. And again, when you have something in front of you and you're reading from it, your mind is on that rather than on what it should be upon. So next week, just a quick summary. We will start from when you enter Makkah al-Mukarramah, what is the first thing you should do? What are the actions which you should start with? As the Prophet ﷺ himself told us in the hadith, that which are the first actions which you do when you enter into the Makkah al-Mukarramah. And the first thing which we will do next week is the Badr with Tawaf, to start off with the Tawaf of the Haram. That's the first thing. Whenever you go to Masjid al-Haram in Makkah, the first thing you do is you do Tawaf. So the Tawaf is like a Tahiyyat al-Masjid for us in a normal masjid. That is the normal procedure. You'll see visitors coming from outside of Makkah. The first thing they'll do the 7 Tawaf around the Holy Kaaba. And this is the first thing the Hujjaj will do. They'll do Tawaf al-Qudum, the Tawaf, and they actually come into the first time. They'll do Tawaf 7 times, and then they will do the rest of the actions which we will go through bit by bit, inshallah, next week. And next week we'll be able to cover most of the Manasik, the Tawaf, the Safa wal Marwa, and all the other rites of Umrah before we go on to the Hajj itself. And the Hajj itself is mostly concentrated over 3 days, 8, 9, 10, and the Ayyam al-Tashriq are the same actions which you repeat for the same 3 days. So we'll stop here, inshallah, and if any brothers would like to ask any questions regarding what we have covered very, very briefly and very briskly, please forgive me if anything hasn't been clear. You are able to ask, inshallah, myself or the group leaders when you go for your Hajj. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your Hajj a Hajj maqbool. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your Hajj. And please remember all of the brothers and sisters from this community, and also brothers and sisters around the world. Remember them in your dua. And it is an experience in itself. The Hajj is a cleansing of your sins. It is an invitation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's calling you to His house, and you are very, very fortunate to go to His house. There are people who have millions of pounds in their bank accounts, but that invitation hasn't come in their mind. Still, they're thinking about the dunya. So those who have received this invitation, make the most of it, and make sure that you pray a lot. Do many nawafils, do many tawafs, as many tawafs as you can. Umrah, you can do one Umrah when you arrive there. After the Hajj or in between the Hajj days, you can do many Umrahs if you like. Umrah for your father if he's passed away, your mother if he's passed away. Anyone from your family, you are able to do Umrah. But the Hajj is for yourself. The Hajj which you are going for now is for yourself, unless you're doing Hajj Badal, which is a Hajj on behalf of someone else. But the Hajj is for yourself, and it's once in a lifetime, and you don't know, you might not get another chance to go and visit the Holy House, because you need to be really aware at all times. Have your mind. You should be mindful of the manasik and all the. If you make a mistake, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, He's all forgiven. He will not call you to account if you not deliberately. If it's not done deliberately, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will, if He wills, will wipe it away. So as long as your intention is there and your mind is set on the main thing, which is to seek the pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, then He will make things easy for you. So we ask Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to allow us to reach those blessed days of Hajj, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala grant all those who haven't performed the Hajj, may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala give them the ability to perform Hajj at least once before in their lifetime. And really, it is, last week we covered the warnings which were given to people who neglect the Hajj. It is really a serious thing to not to visit Allah Subhanahu wa Taala's house in Makkah. There is a great warning, and it's something which we should take heed of, and we should pass the message to those brothers and sisters who are able to go. So may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala forgive us for our shortcomings. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala allow us to see the truth as truth. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala keep us away from any distortion, any misguidance in this world. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala reward all the brothers and sisters who are performing the Hajj, who have the intention to go to Hajj. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala make their journey easy for them, away from any trials and tribulations. And may Allah Subhanahu wa Taala allow them to return back to us in this community, free from their sins and free from any major and minor sins. May Allah Subhanahu wa Taala accept them. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. If there's any question or any comment brothers would like to say, inshallah, we'll take some questions.
You didn't mention the atonement for some of the prohibited actions while in Ihram.
Yeah.
Isn't that important?
So if any action which is prohibited during the Ihram is committed while you're in Ihram, there is actually a fidya. So there's a fidya which you can actually pay, just as there's a fidya in the Siyam, you're allowed to pay fidya, but the fidya is usually done after the Hajj is completed. So either after the Ayam Tashriq, so you work out how many things you have done, how many mistakes you have done, and then there's three options. I mean, any one of the three you're allowed to do, with mostly people either feed 6 people, poor people, all people. The fasting is out of the question in the fidya, but most of the people go for the feeding of 16 miskina, so 60 poor people. This is really very, very important. And for each action which you do deliberately, this is the main thing. If you do it deliberately, then there is a fidya to pay from the haram actions, like i.e. having a relationship with your wife or husband. All these are, there's consequences for these things. And as long as you pay the fidya, you don't have to redo your Manasik al-Hajj. Your Hajj is still okay. But you need to keep note every time you slip up or you make a mistake. Make note that I've done such a thing at such a time, and make sure when you come back, or before you come back in the haram, you pay the fidya. And each group leader will have obviously the price for the fidya, and he will ask you how many fidyas you want to give. So if there's 2 mistakes, you say 2, and he will give you the amount in riyals usually, not in pounds, and you pay that, and it's distributed amongst the poor in either in the country, or they send it outside, or they feed certain amount of poor people. Yes,
you mentioned about the arrival tawaf. If you come into Haram Sharif, you're doing Umrah. You don't have to do the arrival tawaf, you just do Umrah straight away, which includes the arrival tawaf.
That comes within the Umrah.
It's part of it.
Yeah, part of it. So it becomes part of the Umrah. And then you do another tawaf when you're leaving. Tawaf. So the tawaf is ziyarah, which is the one you do when you first arrive, and when you're leaving is also tawaf. So there's 2 tawafs. The main tawaf at the time of Hajj, but the Umrah, the tawaf is part of the Umrah. But it covers both. So you do both in one, inshallah.
And just to clarify, you don't have to wear one ihram through the ihram.
No.
You can wear as many.
It's actually better to take 2. I would actually advise you to take two sets with you, because it's difficult to wash them if they get dirty, etc.
During the days of Hajj, because it's really sweaty and they'll get dirty as well.
Dirty and sweaty as well. It's true.
I'm going to the toilet.
The toilets you can wash them. If they become dirty due to other reasons, then you can wash them. But really, it's difficult to keep them clean. But it's quite warm at these times of days in Makkah. It's touching nearly 40, 45 degrees maybe. So you need to keep yourself cool and also not to have too much. Really I'd recommend you just take 1 string bag, those gym bags, one of them with all your necessities in them. So you can wear that with your ihram. There's no restriction with that. Even when you do the tawaf, you can still have your small gym bag on your back with water, Zamzam in it, so whatever you want, your sandal, your flip-flops, etc. You can put them inside your bag while you're doing the tawaf. So there are many things which you could do. Also, the belt is important to keep your lower garment on. It's very, very important to have a belt as well around you. Any other questions before we finish off? Jazakallah khair. So inshallah we'll carry on next week with the same topic, and we'll clarify. Subhanallah bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Jazakallah khair.